Forms of magic. In this video we have a relaxed chat about different forms of magic. Stick around to the end for our power tip, which will expand your working skills. Okay, so next up is knot magic, and knot magic is a way of binding your intent, either ritually tying items together or tying knots in something.
Yeah.
And I think this relates quite nicely as well to ribbon magic. And I've seen people working with ribbons and tying ribbons as well, which I quite like. Obviously, again, that comes back in with the colour and the use of colour correspondences. I think I've only used knot magic a few times. It's not something that I've used very often. But I like it. I love the idea of it. I love the idea that when you tie a knot, it's permanent. Oh,
definitely. I like some of the other stuff. I will use it in tandem, like candle magic, for example. It will be an addition to it. So the first time I used it was for binding, and as part of a binding and banishing of something or someone very negative, many years in the past, with no ill intent or anything, but just sort of go away and stay away. And it was 3 knots, and each one binding a certain aspect of that negativity and saying, no, you are now restrained, and that's stopping it, and that is a permanent thing. There's a lovely old one. The first time I actually read about it when I was learning was a charm for getting rid of warts. And this is, it was a great story. It was really, really sets the scene. But it was someone going to like the village witch by the hearth fire and placing the knots in the ribbon, the string, for how many warts the person had in their hand, and then placing it against it, and then I can't remember. It was either thrown in the fire or it was disposed of in some way, it was buried. That was it. It was buried, and as the sort of rope and the string, because it was a natural sort of hempen one at the time, deteriorated, so were the warts. So it's a really nice, very, very cool, sympathetic link.
Yeah, excellent. Lovely, love it. Okay, so next, what are we talking about?
Oh, divination. Now this is a vast subject. It has almost too many forms to list. They can include tarot cards, scrying, such as tea leaves or coffee grounds, using a black mirror or crystal ball, casting runes, bones or sticks, astrology and dowsing, just to name a few.
Huge subject.
Yeah.
Huge subject for divination.
And for those that don't even know what divination is, or it's a word you may not have come across, divination is the art of telling the fortune or future of a person, something, or a situation. What you're usually seeing is a possible outcome based on the situation at the time. So if you, for example, have a really negative reading, that is showing a possible future of what could happen if you follow the actions in this course.
If you continue on this course.
Exactly, yeah. So it gives you a chance to maybe go, I'll put the brakes on that situation, and go, maybe I won't do that.
Yeah, maybe I'll go in a different direction or do something else.
Yeah. What's your favourite form of divination if you're going to approach something you wanted to get a sort of rough idea?
Divination is something that I do for other people, not something that I tend to do for myself. Again, because I like to be in control, and I like to kind of, I don't know. It's not that I don't need help. It's just that I like to just kind of make the decisions and think about things logically, and work my way through problems and situations in that way.
Yeah.
Rather than if I try to do divination for myself, I could read it incorrectly because I know the outcome that I'm hoping for, and perhaps my opinion is a little bit blinkered maybe because I'm stressed about something or worried about something in particular. So it's actually quite hard to do divination for yourself in a level-headed way.
Oh, definitely.
So it's good to have a friend or somebody who perhaps doesn't know all the details of the situation to help you out with that, who knows about the form of divination that you're using perhaps. But when I'm doing divination for other people, I think tarot is probably the best form of divination for me to use, because there is so much symbology within the tarot cards. So I use astrology, I use numerology, I use all my Kabbalistic training, again, colour, correspondences, and the cards themselves. And it is a huge topic when you're looking at tarot properly. It is so full of information. You can even get times of the year, you can get specific dates through from it, and using tarot cards,
you can work out like that's exactly that person. That's the birthday. It's ridiculous.
So so dates of events and things like that. And that's without any psychic ability coming in on top of that, or mediumistic ability coming in on top. So tarot cards are very, very different to angel cards or divination cards. They're actually different. But tarot for me would be the thing that I like the most, because there's so much information in it, and just a simple reading. You get so much information, and it's just great.
I would agree for a specific situation, and again, I would advise the same thing, that if it's something you're very stressed about, and it's not just a checking up, what's going to happen in 6 months' time. It's not that you haven't got oh God, what's going to happen? Is the car going to blow up or something ridiculous like that? It is good to have someone else who's impartial and level-headed. But I do like some of the other techniques. So scrying is really, really cool, because that's a very visual thing. And I've seen people that have no magical training, no previous experience with the occult or the paranormal or anything like that, have tried scrying, and they have had amazing results. They've seen something visually change, and it often freaks them out. And it is a bit scary the first time you do it. You can get things like it looks like your face is melting, and you get these weird. Basically, as your reflection is being changed by either the energy or the spirit you're communicating with, it will change the form of the reflection to bring the information across. And when it first happens, you can go, "Oh my God, that's quite scary."
So again, a huge subject that we'll have to break down into bite-sized pieces, really, for different videos. So the next one that we're going to talk about, and I have to confess, this is a word that I made up today. And
nothing but professionalism here.
We were trying to think of the word for this, and there doesn't seem to be one. So I came up with anatomancy. And anatomancy is magic using body parts such as nail clippings, hair, bodily fluids, and bones, etc. So anatomancy, we've kind of coined it today. If you hear people using anatomancy relating to body parts and magic, then that was us. We did that.
Trademarked.
So what do you think about that? Do you think it's effective?
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's that sympathetic link between I'm not going to call it predator and prey, which is really not the right words to use, between the practitioner and the client. So you see it in various different books. Like if you look at the like Terry Pratchett's Hogfather, they reference that sympathetic magic by using the children's teeth. So it's
the tooth fairy.
It's something that's so old and so ingrained in the ideas of magic. So it can be anything from saliva, and that's still quite commonly used. And you'll see it like spitting. Can be used within magic. But it's great when you're creating something, and if you're creating something together. I mean, we mentioned this before in one of the previous videos about having something from both partners or two people working together can be really, really useful. I think it varies depending on what you're trying to do. This sort of also goes into the use of blood as well. This is a strange subject. Some people really, really like the use of it, as it's something that's very visceral and visually striking, should we say. But personally, I would say you don't want to use it too often, because you're going to be creating that sort of cycle of harming yourself to create something.
Assuming it's your blood you're using.
Yeah, assuming it's your blood you're using. I'm everyone out there is perfectly innocent until proven guilty. So I'm going to say, fine.
That's actually, the reason that we've done this as a discussion is to show our differing views on things. And I don't really do blood. I'm not very good at blood and things
Squishy
like
things.
that. So I wouldn't use it. I just wouldn't use it. It's not how I work. You know, and so, you know, as we always say, you need to find what works for you. And you know,
while we're on the subject, I would like to mention that the classic charm that you come across is the pierced heart as a protection, or you know, that can even be used to like very, very potent counterblasting to kill an ill wisher. So someone who's put a curse on you and it basically rebounds it. But that is using the body part, usually the heart of a pig, stuck with nails and thorns. So it is. It's not one that I've done personally.
Yeah.
But you know, if it's a case that you need, you know, the idea is the magic would work on the first flesh it finds, then be rebounded. So you could just use a bacon sandwich. But that's not quite as visually impressive as...
It's a waste of a bacon sandwich.
It's a waste of a bacon sandwich.
Okay, let's move on.
On that lovely note.
Let's move on from that. So, what are we talking about next?
Oh, sigils and symbols. These can be created in various different ways. Sometimes using magical squares, using a written phrase, usually of the desired outcome, and reducing it down by eliminating certain letters, usually repeating ones, then creatively making the letters into a symbol, sometimes simply by joining the letters up together. Some people like to use runic or angelic alphabets, and script, or what's commonly known as the witch's alphabet.
I actually love sigils.
You're very good at making them. Yours is your style is very different from mine. If we make two sigils, you can really tell them apart.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's nice because you can develop your own style. And you don't really have to be particularly artistic. I'm certainly not. But it's nice to sort of, you know, put your own flair to it and put your own style to it. So, and people create them in different ways as well, which I think is really nice. You know, there's varying concepts on how to create a sigil. And they're all valid. And it's it's really boiling down the phrase of what you're looking to achieve to its smallest kind of size, really.
Yeah.
So you're kind of creating something visual that speaks to you the entire sentence or the entire theme of what you want to achieve in one visual object.
Definitely.
So it's a great thing to do. And sigils, you can put them anywhere. You know, you can put them. I've seen you drawing them on your hand, or, you know, we've got little bits of paper with sigils on them in various different places.
Hiding random little bits of post-it notes that you might only see like maybe once a month, but it will be something you'll catch out of the corner of your eye, and it will reinforce whatever it is. I found them to be quite potent if it comes to the point where you've actually forgotten what they were for, but your subconscious remembers what they are for, and that is that reinforcing. If you can hear whining, that is our dog in the background.
Yeah, we'll have to look after her in a minute. So sigils, I like to put them onto t-shirts and bags as well. We have a few in our shop. So we'll put the link below to those. But also I like to draw a sigil on the lid of my water bottle.
Yeah, I've seen this.
Or on a coffee cup or something like that. That's really effective as well, because that imbues what you're drinking with that energy. And so then you're taking that into the body as well, into the system, which I think is a great way to do it. Okay, so next we're going to talk about trance, meditation and astral projection. And many systems of magic use these as ways of experiencing the spirit worlds and the spirit planes, and meeting maybe guides, masters and other practitioners while you're in that etheric spiritual form. I love the idea of astral projection, and I teach this to my students so that they can experience the spirit worlds. And also during meditation, I take people through guided meditations that take them onto the astral planes, and they can then experience the energies in those different guided meditations. And it's amazing how I can take 30 odd people into one of these meditations to visit somewhere specific on the astral plane, and they'll come out describing what each other was wearing or doing or experiencing. And that's proof that it actually is happening. It's not the imagination. It's not something that you've made up. So I love that. I love the meditation, the astral projection side of things. Well, what do you think about trance?
Trance work is quite useful, and I find that very helpful if I'm working. And I mentioned it before with chanting, or even humming or things like that. And as you're working, you go into that trance-like state. And I've certainly found that when I've been making things like incense, or if I've had to do a long time period, I will go into a trance-like state. And you can be you can be in all sorts of pain, and you can be absolutely knackered, but you don't feel it. You're in that zone, and then like when you come out, you go, oh bloody hell, I've been standing like that. Oh Christ, my back, or something like that. But it is fantastic. Astral projection in itself is an amazing subject. Most people will be familiar with the idea of a witch flying on a broomstick. It's the most common thing you come across. But that's one of the ideas behind astral projection. It's how you're sending your body out, your astral body, or sometimes it's termed as a fetch, out into the spirit planes. Sometimes you might be flying on a broom or a stang. There are someone's, I think they're from Eastern Europe, maybe Near East, where they fly on uprooted trees. Some people like to go forwards in the guise of animals. I've certainly done some path working where I've taken on, or I've visualised certain aspects of an animal that relates to goals I'm trying to achieve.
Very interesting. So next up,
this is a lovely, not taboo subject in the slightest. Can you guess? It's necromancy. Necromancy is communing with the spirits of the dead. And when communing with a particular person, you might use something belonging to them, perhaps dirt from the gravesite, or even the skull of the person you're trying to make contact with. This is a form of magic that was very, very common, but it seems to be in modern magic, up until only very recently, that it was very much sort of blurred out or brushed to the side. So you see like some of these very, very old books, you've got even like the Seals of Solomon, the ones that have been translated from Hebrew, and there are loads of sigils for sort of talking, like communicating with spirits or having power over them, but all the other information seems to be dropped. It seems to have been that sort of brush to the side. We're only just become legal in this country in the 1950s, so I think a lot of the, shall we say, the scarier stuff may have been pushed to the side.
But in actual fact, the entire sort of paranormal ghost hunting, paranormal research kind of industry is based around necromancy.
It is.
You're communicating with the dead. You're asking the dead to come and make their presence known. So, and people use trigger objects. People use, all kinds of things to try to encourage that communication to happen. So, actually, necromancy is really common.
It's just been rebranded.
It's been rebranded.
It's now trendy
for the modern times. Yeah. Coming up is our power tip, which will expand your working skills. If you enjoy our videos, be sure to subscribe and click the bell for notifications.
Power tip. Use these different forms of magic in combination. The more layers of energy you place in a goal, the stronger it becomes. Don't limit yourself to just one form of magic. Try various combinations and see what works best for you. The more skills you have, the more likely you are able to handle any situation.
Comment below and tell us what forms of magic you have tried and the ones that you haven't. Join our Raven Mystic community on social media. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching.
Goodbye.